Hi there, this is Slava from Kitchen Garden Therapy. Welcome aboard. Today I'll take you on a tour of my garden. It's May, which means temperatures are warmer, days are longer, and I planted a ton of vegetables and flowers, so let me show you what's going on. And we are starting here in the front of my house. That's my front steps, where I have 2 pots with peppers in the middle, surrounded by pansies. And when pansies will be done, I'll plant something else. And here on the steps, I have planted 4 pots with a tomato in the middle in each pot and nasturtiums all around. And I started these all from seed, both tomatoes and nasturtiums. Tomatoes were started indoors under lamps, and these are Czech variety. Czech as from Czechoslovakia. It's a bush variety dwarf tomato. It doesn't grow that big. Also, these pansies I started exactly on January 1st. First day of this year, I sowed the seeds of these pansies. And it took me 4 months to grow them, and now they are blooming. Finally, I'm so happy. My plum tree unfortunately have finished blooming already. It was covered in blooms. But can you look over there on the right side of my house? There is a quince tree that just started blooming. There's 2 of them, by the way. First one here in the front, and then there is another one in the back. I'll show you later. Also, these pansies are so pretty. I mean, just look at them, how beautiful this sphere of pansies is. It's a hanging basket. These I didn't start myself. I purchased from a nursery. So now let me share with you my pride and joy. This quince tree. I mean, I love quince so much. It's one of my favorite preserves. Quince jam, I love it. I love quince and I love sour cherry. That's 2 of my favorite jam fruit. And this quince tree I planted 8 years ago, and no, actually 7 years ago, yes. And it was like less than a foot tall. So now you can see it's almost as tall as my house, and it's covered with blooms. Every branch of this tree has a ton of flowers, and I do hope that I will have just as many fruit as there are flowers, because I want to make a lot of preserves. So right there in the back there is another quince tree, and there is a small one in the middle that I propagated. This tree in the back was smaller originally, and it took longer for it to grow. So I think last year was the first time it was blooming, and now this year it also got covered with flowers. So I'm so excited. Now I have 2 large quince trees that are covered with blooms. Here I have a few pots. These are grow bags, and I planted tomatoes in there. My lily of the valley is also starting to bloom, which I love to witness every spring. I don't like the scent of these. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit too strong for me. So I don't bring it indoors, but I enjoy the beauty of these flowers outside in front of my house. And by my library, I have the remnants of my spring flowers, so tulips and daffodils. I created kind of like a white zone over here. All the flowers that I plant here are white. I planted some white petunias in the pot. There's some white snapdragon in there. Now let's go to my backyard, where first I wanted to show you my pansies that I planted in the front of my raised beds, kind of on the edge. And then you can see there is a row of lettuce, a row of kale afterwards, and some peas in the back. But these pansies in the front are so pretty. They are of different colors, like it was a mix of different colors, and I love to see that. Now this perennial medicinal island over here is starting to fill up. You can see some colors already. I have one of my favorite spring flowers, Brunera, which looks similar to forget-me-nots, but it's a perennial and it blooms only in the spring. I love to see that blue color. My peas in this hanging pot is almost starting to bloom. I see some buds forming. There is a tomato in the back as well. And also I had planted some currants over here, and they are starting to get some fruit, some berries forming. Also, there's greater celandine over here, that yellow plant. It's highly medicinal. I love it. And this pot with cilantro and tomato is looking good. Tomatoes are starting to bloom, and cilantro is just overflowing. I have to start cutting some of it. Same as this chervil. So this is another pot, and I planted the same way, tomato in the middle and then chervil all around. And chervil is similar kind of to parsley and cilantro. It's a great herb. I highly recommend chervil to everyone. This tomato, as you can see, is blooming as well. And look at this beauty. This is mini eggplant called patio. But eggplant's not gonna be mini. It's the plant that's going to stay compact, like container size, and it's about to bloom as well. Also, my black currants, as you can see, are blooming. They are forming these little tiny berries. I'm so excited. I love currants so much. I love black currant because both the fruit and the leaves are amazing. I use leaves for tea. And this is a white currant. It's also so good. And I also have red currant, which I showed you previously. Another cool thing I want to share with you is my Turkish rocket. This is a perennial that last year I started from seed, and I was nurturing it the whole previous year, and it looks like it got established. Not only it survived the winter, it started growing big, because last year for the whole year it remained small, tiny. Now it started growing. I'm so happy. This is another of my red currants, and let me just pick it up a little so you can see how it is covered. Like, there is so much fruit. I think I need to get some netting, because the birds love currants. So as soon as they're going to start ripening in July, the birds will be all over them. So I need to maybe put some netting right before they will be ripening. Now let me share with you another beauty. This is Schisandra. I've done a video on Schisandra vine. It's a Chinese medicinal edible bush. It's vining, so as you can see, it climbs up. It keeps growing on and on. It's also about 7 or 8 years old. I have been growing it here. It's a Chinese 5-flavor berry. It's very delicious. It's very highly nutritional. It has all kinds of vitamins, especially vitamin C. It's very good for you. It's an adaptogen. So it helps body to cope with stress and all other things. It's immunomodulant as well. I love this plant, Schisandra, and I'm so happy I have it in my garden. So that's the black currant again, and this in the back is my grapevine, which I also use not just the berries, not just when it ripens in the fall, but also I use leaves of this vine in about a month, when leaves are going to be like still young and a little bit bigger than what they are right now. I'll be using it to make dolma, stuffed grape leaves. When we were kids, we would look for a 3-leaved three petals flowers on a lilac, and it's so funny. We would eat them. We would make a wish, and then we would eat these three petal flowers, and we believed that the wish would come true. It's so funny, but as a kid, we believed in it. I mean, and it was nice. I mean, these flowers are edible, so you can safely consume them with no harm. My strawberries are also blooming. This is another currant bush. As you can see, I have a ton of currant bushes in my yard because I love red, black, and white currants so much. Also, my flowering quince is in its glory right now. So this is the quince that only blooms, it doesn't produce fruit. Those trees in the front of the house that I showed earlier, they are the fruiting quince, but this one is just blooming. But I still love it. It has these beautiful red flowers. This is my herb tower, and as you can see, I have dill, I have parsley here, I also have a ton of cilantro here. It sprouted so good. And over here on the top, I have some more chervil. And I planted some petunias on the side. Also pansies over there in hanging pots. Those are also the pansies I started myself from seed on January 1st. Now let's take a sneak peek in my greenhouse where I have the last of my seedlings. So I have things here that really love warm weather, and I couldn't bring them out earlier up until now because now we're starting to have 70s and 80s degrees days. So these are my cucumbers, corn, and beans, and some remnants of the peppers and tomatoes and eggplants, which I'm going to be planting this week. Now let's look at my green stock towers and these barrel pots in the front of my back door, where I have a new plant tag. Do you like it? I do. It's cute, isn't it? Oh, and another one on the other side. I like having these little cute things in my garden. It makes me laugh and smile. My broad beans are starting to bloom, by the way. I can't wait to have broad beans and peas to harvest. I hope by the end of the month I'll have some. Now let me share with you my petunias, which are so pretty. Just look at this combination of these colors. I mean, pink and green. Perfect combination. I love it. And my peppers are blooming like crazy. This one is peperoncini, and you can see a little tiny pepper forming already. So cute. I have a few other peppers here in front, so I planted them in these grow bags, and then in the front of the pepper I planted some kind of herb. So I have rosemary here and tarragon in some, and there's more little peppers here. Look at them, they're so cute. This one is shishido pepper, which is very similar to peperoncini. They are of the same size and they are not hot, both of them, and you can pickle them both, and I love pickled peppers. Those broad beans over there are also starting to bloom. More pansies. My beets are growing nice. Carrots, spinach. I have like a mix, a little bit of everything, even some weeds, but whatever. There's weeds everywhere. I just have to learn how to ignore them. These are my wild alpine strawberries. They are finally starting to bloom. For 2 years, they were not doing anything. These were started from seed, not by me. I was gifted them. Some lady started them from seed and then shared with me. So now after 2 years of waiting, I'm finally seeing flowers, and I'm so excited because I love alpine strawberries. They are much sweeter than regular ones. I have more hanging pots on this side of the garden. Also, I have my comfrey in bloom right now, and comfrey is an amazing fertilizer plant, which is also doubling as medicinal plant. And in those hanging pots, I have pansies and peas is blooming currently. Also, my shangiku, also known as tongho or chop suey greens, is starting to bloom. That's that yellow flower over here. I have like a mix of different veggies in these beds. There is garlic, there are cabbages, different kinds of cabbages, and I have radishes. So let's harvest some of the radishes, because I just love having radishes this time of the year. Some of these radishes are French breakfast, and the other one is cherry bell, I think. Yes, cherry bell variety. Yeah, so this round one is cherry bell. And as you can see, I started these radishes in these cells, and then once they sprouted, I plucked them in my raised beds, and this is how they were growing. So cute. But yeah, you can start radishes indoors and then transplant them. Just like beets. Beets are okay with that too. The only root vegetables that I would not recommend starting indoors are the carrots. Carrots are not good to start and transplant. You have to directly sow them. But other root veggies like radishes or beets are perfectly fine, and I've been doing this with no issues. You can actually get an earlier harvest by doing this. And also you can kind of control the process. So that was my harvest from today. I harvested some radishes, some lilac, and some greater celandine to make skin salve. So this was my May garden tour. Thank you for coming along with me. I hope you've enjoyed my garden just as much as I am enjoying. And one more thing before I end this video, I harvested some of the sour cherry tree leaves because, as you can see, I have a ton of plants sprouting at the base of my tree. And instead of just composting these leaves, you can dry them and use them instead of tea, or add them to your existing tea that you love. And it's so good. It tastes delicious and it's medicinal. And if you're interested to know what it is good for, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a video about it. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.